Welcome back, Rock Raiders. Slugger here, and today we're looking at the ultimate drilling machine, set 4970 Chrome Crusher. Let's dig in. Axel returns yet again to make his final appearance in this series. We will see him later in the Mini Heroes collection, but as far as the retail sets are concerned, this was his swan song. Still, he is leaving on a high note. The Chrome Crusher features a myriad of tools we have seen before, as well as an energy crystal and boulder. One new element is that of the mining laser. Powered by two AAA batteries, it emits a bright yellow light when the button on top is pressed. The instructions actually recommend using a set of keys to open the battery case, but I've found that a brick separator works even better and leads to less long-term damage of the parts. LEGO has a long history of adding light and sound gimmicks to their sets, and while it is appreciated here, it does lend to a theory of mine. I think Sparks was also supposed to be included in the Chrome Crusher set alongside Axel, but because of the expensive working laser, he was cut in order to keep things within the production budget. Here's my rationale. First and foremost, there are clearly two stations within the cockpit. It is very rare for LEGO to put features like this into a set without having the minifigures included to use them. If we look at this chart, we can see that Sparks is the only character to not appear in at least 3 retail sets. His inclusion with the Chrome Crusher would have rectified this and kept him on par with his peers. The second piece of supporting evidence is that some of the promotional photography includes Sparks with a Chrome Crusher alt build. He doesn't appear anywhere on the box, but this pamphlet features a short comic strip and photos with both Axel and Sparks together. We don't have an exact timeline as to when in the development process photography takes place, but it definitely happens before the pieces of a set are finalized, given the litany of prototype parts in these images. We'll discuss this alt build in more detail later, but for now, let's move on to the main attraction, the Chrome Crusher. From a visual standpoint, it shares many similarities with the Loader Dozer, as both vehicles utilize the same large chassis piece and typical Rock Raiders cockpit and roll cage design. The Chrome Crusher does have several elements that set it apart, however, including its large rear bucket, capable of storing more cargo than any other Rock Raiders vehicle. It also marks the second and, sadly, final appearance of the chrome silver drill we saw with the granite grinder. This drill is opposite a detailed radar dish, useful for scanning ahead to determine which direction to dig. The two are interchangeable, using the same Technic pin connection type, which can lead to some fun combinations. Besides the working laser, however, this serves as the only other play feature in this set, leaving it feeling a bit underwhelming in that regard. The build uses many large pieces, but it doesn't skimp on detail the same way the Loader Dozer did. One of the more striking details is that of the exposed engine in the middle. While this may be hazardous and violate many health and safety regulations, it sure looks cool. Even though Dark Turquoise is back on the menu at LEGO headquarters, there are still a few pieces in the Chrome Crusher that prove to be rare or even exclusive to this day. These parts, in addition to the theme-specific larger ones, can make the Chrome Crusher a difficult set to scour pieces for secondhand. The end result is a sturdy toy that could likely survive a few tumbles without losing too many pieces. If we trace the set's lineage back to the concept art and prototype phases, we can see that the Chrome Crusher has always been destined to be the team's giant drilling vehicle. Given these images and renders, it seems to me that the addition of the mining laser came very late in development. Equally so, the rear bucket started with an intriguing shape that evidently saw some test production. Ever wonder why the roll cages of the vehicles were light gray in so much media? Well, it turns out brown was a fairly late addition to the theme's color palette. But what a welcomed addition it was. Even though there are few pieces that utilize this color, it's hard to imagine Rock Raiders without it. One area where the Chrome Crusher stumbles quite literally, is instability. The cockpit hangs much further forward on the Chrome Crusher than the chassis can support, leading the center of gravity to be in an awkward spot, somewhere between the nose and the first wheels. This means the vehicle will commonly topple forward as you are handling it, leading to a somewhat disruptive play experience and devaluing the sense of scale. I think the designers were counting on the laser to provide some counterweight, but in my experience, it just isn't enough. This leads me to my modifications for this set. Let's start by tackling the issue of stability. Firstly, I tried to add as much weight as I could under the bucket in the back. Any pieces we can add here will allow us to put more in the cockpit later. There may be some DACTA weighted bricks I am unaware of that could help. On the underside, I capitulated and added a cheater wheel close to where I felt the center of gravity was. This helped lessen the extent of the tipping, but I couldn't find the right wheel and plate combination to prevent it altogether. This is a band-aid on a broken leg. I swapped out the gray radar dish with one of an even older design, just because I prefer the round center to it. As always, the cockpit received a bunch of detailing, including numbered stations within. On the engine block, I added 4 small modern slope bricks, and I have to say, I think they add a lot of needed detail without compromising the original build. It sounds silly, but I think this small upgrade is the one I'm most happy with here. In the end, these modifications are all minor enough that from certain angles, it's actually hard to tell my version from the stock model. In addition to the alternate build alluded to earlier, the Chrome Crusher contains 2 others on the back of the box. We'll start with the largest one. This monster-sized, jet-powered drill craft makes novel use of the large pieces in the set. I especially like how the laser can rotate, held in with friction. The box art surrounding this second design is ambiguous, but its pontoon struts lead me to believe this vessel was made for the water. Finally, we return to the smaller alt builds mentioned earlier. I enjoy the small driller, but I've gotta say, the lava barge takes the cake here. There is arguably one more alternate build for the Chrome Crusher, and it's a doozy. In this Rock Raiders commercial, we can see the pieces forming into a mining robot, because TLG was crazy about robots in the 90s. There's definitely some merit to the design here, but it's not my cup of tea. Overall, the Chrome Crusher is a paramount entry in the theme, and it has rightly caught the eye of so many over the years. Without sparks or a rock monster, however, the set feels lonely, so I don't recommend making this your only purchase in the series. Thanks for watching, everyone. I've been your host, RR Slugger, and I hope to see you again for some high adventure deep underground.